Good afternoon, Anne Arundel County. Good afternoon, America. Welcome to what I believe is the 39th episode of Promoting Don't Get Fooled Again with Class. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. They're exciting for a lot of reasons. I mean, have you looked outside? It's snowing. You know, I grew up in New England and we got a lot of snow in the 70s. And I but we haven't got much snow here recently, and you kind of forget. And it's a pretty thing. It's very majestic. It's a different feel. You don't want to hang out in it too long. You want to be careful driving in it. But snow has some valuable qualities. I mean, if nothing else, it's water, right? So yes, these are exciting times. We want to do a couple of shout outs. First of all, to our affiliates. So for Amherst Media, that's Amherst Cable Access in Western Massachusetts. And also Greenbelt Cable Access, that's PG County's cable access channel. We want to say thank you for airing our show and getting our message out there. Thank you so much. As very importantly, two developments. First of all, Talking Tech in Anne Arundel, which is a pilot episode of a new show that circles around technology, but keeps the hometown feel, is now available. You can actually catch it right here on at Anthony Bynum 1948. I've already sent it over to AAC TV. Hopefully they'll be airing it early next week. Very excited about this one. Very, very excited about this one. Also, though, any day now, they're putting the finishing touches on Marilyn Men of the Cloth. And I'm very excited about this. On 12/2, we went into the studios at Rego Pro Productions or Rego Productions in Annapolis. And under the watchful eye of Tori Pocock, we did the shoot. 3 ordained ministers. I had the pleasure, the honor of working with Father Ben of Christ the King Catholic Church in Glen Burnie, Pastor Mike Horrigan of Day Spring Presbyterian Church, also Glen Burnie, and Pastor Dr. Kenneth P. Moore. He's the pastor at John Wesley United Methodist Church, also Glen Burnie. And we had a great talk, just kind of peeling back the onion a little bit about the true life of ordained ministers. It was a great discussion. Anyway, we're going to be getting that one out pretty soon. I'm very excited about that opportunity. I truly, truly am. As far as this week's episode is concerned, excuse me, we want to reach out and thank the people at Wikipedia, because we always borrow from them. But we also have used a story from this Linthicum vignettes. I think I told you about that one. I don't know if you can quite see it there. A little difficult to see that one. And also a new site, www.isabellagasparini.com. So we borrowed some information from that site also. So we're going to start off by starting with our most admired part of the segment, the show. So for that, we're going to go to our screen share. And start right here. And push the button right there. The Bee Gees. So the Bee Gees, famous singing group, were actually formed in 1956. The brothers Barry, Robin, and Maurice were just kids who liked to sing. They dabbled with some instruments too, of course. They were born in the Isle of Man in England to English parents. In 1955, they formed what was called a skiffle rock and roll group called the Rattlesnakes. Well, I'm glad they changed the name of that one, right? The family actually moved to Queensland in Australia just shortly after that, but they kept singing. And there were some opportunities there that I read about in the Wikipedia article. But they ended up coming back to England, the motherland, so to speak, in 1967, and they got their first real big break. They met a young producer named Robert Stigwood. And they essentially would work with him through the balance of their career, one way or the other. So these guys eventually worked with everybody. They knew the Beatles. They knew the Stones. They had lots of successes. They had lots of failures. They sang lots of different styles. Not all of them worked. They broke up at one point in time. But through it all, they sold 120 million records. That places them on a very, very short list. I think that puts them like number 6 or 7, all time. But it's interesting because when you see the scenes of John Travolta doing all that great dancing in the Saturday Night Fever album, a movie rather, he's not even dancing to originally to the Bee Gees. He was dancing to Stevie Wonder. I mean, that's showbiz, right? You never really know what's going on. Some things end up on the cutting room floor. You have to kind of peel back that onion, so to speak. But that's what makes it fun. All of that said, my 2 favorite songs of the Bee Gees are Nights on Broadway and Staying Alive. So whether you're a mother or whether you're a brother, you're staying alive, right? It's great music. Great music. So we're going to move on to our next segment, which is something relevant about Anne Arundel County. And this is called the Charles Linthicum factor. So I'm just going to switch forward and just keep you on screen share. There he is, a young senator, Charles Linthicum. So the story of the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, it's somewhat known, right? 1814, September 14th to be exact, a young Georgetown lawyer was asked to negotiate the release of a prisoner aboard an English ship. They were in the mouth of the Patapsco River, only to be held captive himself. What he would watch would become history. That night, that ship and many others converged on Fort McHenry in Baltimore, and they fired bombs, and they fired cannonballs, and they fired rockets, and they did it all night long. But somehow, when daybreak hit, the flag was still there. The fort didn't give up. So this young lawyer, Francis Scott Key, wrote a poem about what he saw. Somehow a judge he knew, a judge named Joseph Nicholson, who happened to be a friend, read the poem and felt it could be sung to a good old-fashioned English drinking song. There was one called Anacreon in Heaven. I don't know what Anacreon is. The name changed a couple of times. Eventually it became known as the Star Spangled Banner. And in certain pockets, certain quarters, it was very popular in the Navy, in fact. But it wasn't the national anthem. I don't think there was a national anthem, in fact. This is where young Congressman Charles Linthicum steps in. In 1917, he writes a bill to make this song the national anthem. He had one constituent who was very enthusiastic. Her name is Mrs. Ella Virginia Hawk Holloway. She constantly gives him encouragement. But it didn't just happen. There was always something that came up. People weren't interested. They had bigger fish to fry, couldn't pass the test. Someone didn't like the way it sounded. It was always something. It did not become signed into legislation, wasn't taken on seriously until 1930, when both the Congress and the House and the Senate rather, passed the resolution. This young, I think he might have been a senator by that point, Linthicum, helped himself to the pen that the president used to sign the bill, and he presented it to Miss Holloway. That's a gift for staying with him. That's quite a story, I think. Oh, say, can you see by the stars early, oh, say, can you see by the stars early light? That's what they say, yes. That's a great piece. That's a great piece. So we have one more segment we're going to work on. We always like to, I'm going to go ahead and go forward here. We always like to find something that kind of brings things together when we do our show. This time we're gonna focus on dance. After all, we did talk about the Bee Gees, right? And everybody liked to dance to the Bee Gees. So this is a piece that comes again from Isabella Gasparini. She's a very talented ballerina. She has played with the Royal Ballet of London. That's a big deal, by the way. You're in ballet. Uh, she writes these words about what does dance mean to you? Maybe what she meant to say, what does dance mean to me? To dance is to experience and express with the utmost intensity the relationship of man with nature, with society, with the future, with the gods. To dance is, first of all, to establish an active relationship between man and nature. It is to participate in the cosmic movement and dominion over it. And those are just a couple of words from Isabella Gasparini. So we're going to stop sharing, just kind of finish up. So again, as I've noted, these are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County, very exciting times. We have 2 new shows, one available now, Talking Tech in Anne Arundel. The other, Maryland Men in the Cloth. It's right around the corner, folks, right around the corner. So for the Glen Burnie players, my name is Anthony Bynum. Until next time, bye-bye.